What's up YouTubers, Johnny DIY here. Today I'm going to be showing you guys how to find and fix a battery drain on your vehicle. So why your battery keeps going dead. If you guys are new to my channel, do me a favor and click the subscribe and the notification bell so you can get all my new videos. Alright, let's get to this one. Okay, so I've been having some trouble with my car battery. It just died the other day, so I charged it up, came back today, and it was dead again. So I know there's some sort of drain on it. Obviously, the first things you're gonna wanna check is you're gonna make sure that your door, you didn't leave it ajar, and that none of your interior lights may have been left on, or your headlights. That's very common to do that, or your trunk lights. The next thing we're going to need to do is rule out that the battery itself is bad. So if we look at it, we're going to check out the terminal connections, make sure they're not corroded at all. Sometimes you just may need to clean it. Next, we're going to go ahead and check the battery itself. Right here is the date. Let's see, June 2020. So this battery is so it shouldn't be the battery. Next thing we'll do is get our voltmeter. This is our multimeter. We'll go ahead and turn this on. This is just a cheap one. I'll go ahead and put some links down in the description to one of these, as well as any other tools I use throughout the video. But you just hook the leads up like this. We have it set on 20 volts. We'll go ahead and stick the black lead to the negative side. There'll be a little minus sign here on the battery, or black indication. The positive side will be indicated with red, as well as a plus symbol. Go ahead and put that, and we'll make sure we got good connections on both. We're only reading about 8.6 volts. A normally fully charged battery will read around 12.5, 12.6, 12.7. So this one is completely drained. So we can't go any further in the testing until we get this charged up. If you can drive it, you can go ahead and get it charged up for free at like your local auto store, AutoZone, O'Reilly's, etc. But what we're gonna do is we'll go ahead and hook this little battery charger I have up. All you have to do is connect the red lead to the red side and the black lead to the negative. And then after you've got the connections connected there, then go ahead and plug it in. We can also take the battery out. You're gonna wanna disconnect the negative side first and then the positive side second. It's usually just held in by a 10mm bolt. Take the whole thing off. Then you're gonna have some sort of bracket holding the battery in. Go ahead and disconnect this. Another 10mm. And we should be able to remove this bracket. Just hooks in on one side usually. Take this bracket all the way out, and we can go ahead and lift that battery out. Whew, heavy. What we're gonna do is set the battery on a block of wood instead of the concrete. That way it doesn't discharge through the concrete when we're charging it. Now I can go ahead and hook it up to charge it. With the battery out, you could also take this to your local auto parts store to do a charge. They can do a quick charge in about an hour. So with it connected, now we'll go ahead and plug it in. Now we can see the charger right here. It is yellow, indicating charging. When it's fully done, it'll be green. When you do your charging, make sure you do it outside, because these regular leaded acid batteries will off gas, and you don't want that inside your house. So just go ahead and charge it outside. Make sure it's not gonna rain. It'll usually take around 12 to 24 hours to do a full charge, depending how bad it was drained. This is a 1.5 amp charger. It's better to do slow. So we'll come back tomorrow when this is fully charged. We have to have a battery that is fully charged up for us to do the rest of our testing to find where that parasitic drain is. Okay, so the battery charger said it was fully charged, and I went ahead and unplugged it last night. Now we're gonna go ahead and check the voltage. You're gonna wanna wait at least 2 to 3 hours. I did it overnight so that when we test the voltage, we get an accurate reading and it's just not a surface charge. All right, so it looks like we're only running around 12.25 volts. And that is actually considered around 50% charged. So I went ahead and charged it again and did another test, waited a few hours, and it read the same voltage. So I'm thinking this battery may have a bad cell, even though it's a year old. 12 volt battery has 6 cells, and if one is bad, you're gonna run around 10.5 volts or so. This one may have just a slight short in one of the cells. Okay, let's go ahead and reconnect the battery. We're gonna put the positive connection on first, snug that down. Then we're gonna put the ground connection on second. That's so we're not handling the live wire that contains the power. That's why you do it in that order. Snug that one down. Test the voltage right here. We're running around 12.5. Should be running around there, 12.6. It turns out I had another multimeter and it was malfunctioning and giving us a wrong reading. If you take a fresh 9-volt battery and we connect it to our multimeter, you're gonna read right around 9, maybe even a little over it. With the old meter, I was running about a 1/2 volt less than where I should have. So that is a consideration. Make sure you test your multimeter on something that you know the voltage, just so you know it's functioning correctly as it should. Now, since the car's been disconnected for a while, let's go ahead and let it run for a little while, just to simulate like if it's been normally driving. Let it run for 5 or 10 minutes. Okay, let's shut it off. Okay, now with all the doors closed to the car, you're gonna come up to your hood, and if you have a hood light, you're gonna wanna disconnect the plug or at least unscrew the bulb. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna turn the alarm system on. If you have a factory alarm, if you have an aftermarket alarm, turn that on as well. If you have neither, you're gonna skip this step. But we're gonna get a couple base readings before we really get into it. If your alarm has a button sensor for the hood, if it's open, it'll go off. You're gonna wanna tape that button down, or if it relies on the locking assembly, just go ahead and close the lock with a screwdriver to imitate the latch. We're gonna turn the alarm on. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna wait 2 full hours. That's gonna give all the computer systems a chance to go back to sleep, because it takes around 2 hours for them to go to sleep. We wouldn't really get an accurate reading if we took the amperage that it's drawing right now. Now the first thing we're gonna do is I've got this length of wire and I've stripped off the insulation, and we're gonna carefully wrap it around the post on the negative side. Careful not to disconnect that lead. We'll take some pliers and we're gonna twist those wires so they get a nice tight connection around that post. Now you're gonna need to grab your multimeter, and what I went ahead and did is I put some of these alligator clamps on the ends of the leads. I'll go ahead and put some links down in the description for you guys for some of these. These are really gonna allow us to do what we need to much easier. So we're gonna take our red lead and we're gonna clamp that onto the negative battery cable. Then we're gonna take our negative black cable and we're gonna clamp that onto the wire we put around the post. Then you're gonna go ahead and put your multimeter onto the amp setting. Make sure it's on the DC amps and put it to the highest setting first. You can always dial it down. What that's gonna do is prevent you from blowing a fuse or blowing out your multimeter if the amperage will say higher than what you had the setting at. We'll go ahead and turn on our meter. Then we're gonna carefully loosen the lead. Now when we remove this, our circuit's still gonna be completed. So now we can see the draw. We're running 0.04 amps. Now that's about 40 milliamps. Now to be within range, you should be around jumped up to 0.05. It should be 0.05, which is 50 milliamps or less. Some modern cars you may run as high as around 80 milliamps. So it looks like the alarm system running is still within our spec. Okay, now we're gonna do the same thing with the alarm system turned off. I've gone ahead and let it set for another 2 hours. Remove the negative terminal, making sure that wire I put around it's nice and tight on the post. Now we'll check our reading, and it's 0.04 amps. So that's well within our range with the alarm system turned off. Now as you can see, we're running 0.04 just like we were running with the alarm system on. So now we know the alarm system isn't the thing. A lot of the times these factory alarm systems can end up malfunctioning and putting a ton of draw. I've had that happen with another old car. Now I'm a little confused at where the draw could have been. I'm thinking it could have been a malfunctioning light, maybe in the glove box, or I actually have a light inside my camper shell that may be malfunctioning. You're gonna want to do this test a couple more times after you've ran and driven the car, because sometimes these problems can be a little bit of a phantom problem where they only show up periodically. So you're gonna want to do this, I don't know, maybe a couple times a week if the problem keeps persisting. Now I know when your alternator is malfunctioning, it can actually, instead of adding current and charging your battery, it can draw the current. So let's go ahead and test that. So what we'll do is we'll go ahead and switch our multimeter over to DC volts. We'll take our alligator clamps and we're gonna clip on the black to the negative lead of our battery, and the red lead is gonna go to the positive. Go ahead and start our car up. Now we'll go ahead and flip on our multimeter. Okay, it's coming up. We should be running 13.5 to 15 volts for the alternator to be working correctly. Looks like we're running right around 14.3, so the alternator is functioning correctly. We can also test the battery and alternator with one of these basic battery testers. This is from Top Dawn. This is the BT100. I'll make sure I go ahead and put links down in the description to this. It's only about $60, but let's go ahead and test the battery first. So we just need to hook these leads up. We'll connect the positive one right here, and then the negative one. So right away it'll tell us our voltage right here, but if we go ahead and press enter, then enter again, battery test, then we're going to select what kind of battery we have, regular flooded battery, and then right here CCA, that's our cold cranking amps. Press enter again and you're going to look at the battery. It should say on the top or the side how much. This one is 750, so we'll just go ahead and arrow up to 750. Then we're going to go ahead and enter, and now it's testing. Try and get a good angle. And then right here it reads out the health, 81%. We're only running at 675 cold cranking out of the 750. We have a 50% charge. It's a little low right now. And right here it says it's good. This is the status, but we should recharge it. It's been sitting a little bit. Let's go ahead and test the alternator now. We're just gonna start the car up first, and then we're gonna go ahead and connect it. Then we need to rev it up to 2,500 RPMs for about 5 seconds. There we go. Enter. And there we go. Loaded 14.07 volts and unloaded 14.24 volts. Charging normal. Now since I can't find it, let's go ahead and imitate a couple problems. Go ahead and turn your lights on to make sure they're coming on when you open the door. Now you're going to want to come and find the little switch that activates those lights. If you have trouble finding it, just go ahead and click it in and out, and then check those lights to make sure they're coming on and off. Sometimes it's located over here, and sometimes the little button's located over here. There'll be a little button that you just push in, and what we'll do is we'll just take some duct tape. We're going to push it down. We're going to tape that button shut. Okay, now you're going to want to do the manual override and turn a light on. This is going to simulate, hey, maybe you left your light on, or your headlight, or one of your trunk lights is left on. Now we can see what that draw is. You remove that lead again. And now what we can see is what that one little light is drawing. That is drawing 0.5. What a big draw, just leaving one tiny little light on. Now you can imagine how fast, if you left your headlights on, how fast that's going to drain. Now granted, these are the regular old style incandescent bulbs. If you switch these over to LEDs, all of these dome lights, trunk lights and such, you're going to get a much smaller draw. So that's worth noting, that maybe you want to switch them over so you don't have to worry about if you leave them on. We'll go ahead and turn it off now. Now we can see what it drops down to. Now look, it drops right down to, look, it's vacillating between 0.03 and 0.04, which was our base. We already know that. Now I do want to let you know that sometimes it does vacillate. So what you want to do is you want to take the lowest number it shows and the highest number, and you average those two together, and that's going to give you the most accurate reading. Okay, so you've done that, but you're still showing a large draw right here. Now what we're going to do is we're going to come back inside. we've got that taped off still. Now you're going to want to locate your inner fuse panel on the inside of the car. It's usually located on the driver's side or the passenger side, and there's going to be a little removable cover usually. If you're unsure, go ahead and Google it or check your owner's manual. We look inside. Those are the fuses for the various things throughout the car. Say your cigarette lighter, maybe your horn. All these things can malfunction over time and start drawing more of a current. Get some needle nose pliers and you simply start grabbing those fuses one by one with your pliers, and you just pull it out and then go and check the reading on our multimeter. See if that's dropped. Then you're gonna know, if you take the cover, it's gonna have all the correlating fuses and what they do. As we can see right here, we've got our wipers, we've got our gauge cluster, we've got the horn like I said, you've got your ignition, tail lights, all the kinds of electronic. You're gonna match up the fuse that you took out that dropped that current down. It should drop it down to our base number, and then you're gonna be able to track that down. Say, like I said, your horn was malfunctioning. What you can do, it'll come over here to the front where your horns are usually mounted. Now sometimes these can malfunction and they'll start drawing. You'll just go ahead and disconnect the clips. You can go ahead and test these things to see if they're functioning correctly. Now this is not the only place that you have fuses. If we come to our engine bay, we're gonna also have a set of fuses in the engine bay that are gonna be the larger fuses with the relays. As we can see over here, you look right here, it says relay and fuse. We'll go ahead and carefully take the cover off. Now these large ones right here, these are all your relays to all the different functioning things in your car, your alternator, your AC compressor. And the smaller ones are your fuses, and it's the same thing. You're gonna have the guide on the fuse cover right here. We can see starter, we've got heater. You're gonna do the same thing. Pull each of these one by one out, and then when it drops down to your base level, you're gonna know, and you're gonna check just like inside, and you're gonna see, oh look, our heater right here, that's drawing a bunch. So that's gonna help you diagnose the problem, and then you're gonna have to dive into what that actually is. That's gonna be a different set of problems for anything that is covering. But say maybe you determine it was your alarm system right away. What you can do is you can just stop using the alarm system, or you can disconnect the alarm. You can disconnect whatever it is. Maybe it was one of your cigarette lighters was malfunctioning, so you can just go ahead and cut and cap off those wires and stop using it. Sometimes it's as easy as that. Now I want to mention a couple places you may want to start looking at. If you've bought an older car, say maybe someone's done some of their own work on it, maybe they've replaced the stereo. I've seen that a lot of times, where someone's rewired the stereo and it's constantly drawing a power instead of going to your ignition where it would come on and off. I've seen that a lot. So you definitely want to check if someone's altered and made any modifications. Maybe they've added some lights, or I've had a lot of people do some shoddy wiring and that ended up being the issue. And maybe yourself even, maybe you didn't do it right. I've done that as well too. So always start with the easy things like that. All right guys, hopefully you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. If you have any questions or comments, go ahead and leave them down below and I'll get back to you on that. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe and click the notification bell so you can get all my new videos. Thanks for watching Jonny DIY, guys. Keep on doing it yourself. Take care.